Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Rough Drafts Competes Journey of Wrestling League. It is the final weekly before our third gold pay per view, and it is very exciting heading into this last set of shows. Right now, we've got two competitors that are tied in the lead, two competitors only half a star behind. Should things go wrong, anything is possible. And I am joined, as always, by my good friend here, Xander. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's another wonderful evening to play some Journey of Wrestling.
Absolutely, positively. It's very fun in these weeklies because ties are possible. People will get a half point if ties are in play because there's no real way to calculate hype over 3 weeks in a row in any way that's
hmm
super reliable. So it's purely ratings determining who gets the points. And you and I right now tied at 9.25 feels pretty good. But we've got two competitors at 8.75 that we're going to be starting with tonight. And our first one here, Eduardo with the Campeonato de Luchasaur, has an interesting strategy that he is bringing to this. And I think it's a strategy that you will recognize from some of the side leagues that we do when we are not doing this for a competition. And I'm
Mm,
excited to present that to you. Let's see if you can pick up on the theme here tonight. You
let's
ready
see.
to jump on in?
I sure am.
Fantastic. So, we start with a match between Christopher Knox and Davey Airborne. This is a new feud starting here, and it's a very interesting one. Davey Airborne just joined the Campeonato de Luchasaur just a month or two ago. He was one of the talents that was called up during the kind of training roster move. And so far, I don't think he's had a lot of individual moments to prove himself. This is his first feud that he has taken on. And, after losing the couple battle royales, he's basically, look, I need to prove myself. I need to prove that I am a monster in this company, that I, as Mr. Sky High, have what it takes to climb up the charts, to become a main eventer, and one day, even a face of the company. And you gotta love a 21-year-old with that kind of ambition, even if it comes with maybe a little bit of trash talk towards his opponents. But on the other hand, you have Christopher Knox, the self proclaimed emperor, and someone who has also struggled to find his opening in this company, He is only 0-5 as of right now. So not as much attention in the singles competition as he would like, certainly for someone who calls himself an emperor, but he's a 4-4 heel with a huge amount of upside. And essentially, both of these guys came to Eduardo and said, look, we deserve a shot. I'm the next big thing. I'm the next heel of this company. And Eduardo's like, you know what? You guys can settle it out in a street fight. You can prove that you deserve this opportunity, and you can keep proving it until one of you has reached that main event status and has earned the opportunity that your kind of gimmicks would insinuate that you have. So that's the question here, Xander, is which of these two do you think is getting the first blow in this feud?
Yeah, I think this is going to be some good back and forth here between these two. I look at Christopher Knox's record and he really needs a win. 0-5, 4-4, 763, not great. I'm thinking about the longevity of this feud.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for that, you know, kind of idea that giving Davy Airborne the first win is the right way to go. Just because their popularity discrepancy, you want to get it, in my opinion, you want to have it like right on top of each other stacked. And
Mm-hmm.
then you push one of them to the moon with the last, like match or two wins or whatever. But then they end up both benefiting. I think Christopher Knox is the better wrestler here. I think Christopher Knox is going to win the feud, but I think Davey Airborne wins the first match.
Well, I think Eduardo agrees with a good bit of what you said, but he looks at this 4-4. He looks at the ability to become a main eventer. And if Davey gets a win against a main eventer later on in this feud, it helps him quite a bit. And we've seen those penalties about people being too far away from a morale perspective. Not really a problem when both wrestlers are at morale 100, and often matters a lot more at the start of the feud than the end of one. So he did give the win to Christopher Knox here, and it is a
Okay.
5.25 star match. It's a
It
hot
works out
match to
regardless.
kick it off. These are just two very talented competitors, and I think Eduardo looked at his upper mid card and is like, "Wait a second, I've got some really good talents here. If I just give them some time to shine, this is what they're capable of." And it turns out a very good start to this feud.
Right on.
Now, we're going to go into a recap package here. And this focuses on Kelly Torres versus Alyssa Rose. And here you go, Eduardo. You said, let's see if any of my packages tonight get over 4 stars. And this is 4 stars, which is better than you
Yeah.
have been getting. So clearly, people love the match we saw last week, that ladder match where Kelly Torres finally got a ladder victory over Alyssa Rose as they continue to fight for the Campeonato Cuyan title. It was a great match, and I'm glad to see it highlighted here.
Yeah. Well done.
Now we've got a new gimmick package for CC Cruz. CC Cruz, now known as the Cruiser. And these custom gimmicks, they're a little bit risky. They can only start at okay, no matter what you do with it. And unless, they're like, that's why the like preset gimmicks exist where you have the easy, okay, and hard. But it turns out Eduardo likes to put on these custom gimmicks, and it works out well for him here. Boosts her overness substantially. That's an extra 8 overness and 12 popularity. Not quite a 4-star package, but 3 3/4, still a very solid performance. You get a producer boost, so Philip did his job. And hopefully that boost for CC Cruz just makes her and Dominion, where of course she is a duo with Ivy Chavez, that much stronger. And now we have a video package with La Sagrada Familia.
I'm starting to see some packages coming through here for Mr. Eduardo.
You're seeing a pattern, perhaps, in how this card was built. Somebody really wants to get a level 3 production facility.
Right on.
Which I deeply empathize with and understand completely. And look, a 4-star package here, a very nice set. And La Sagrada Familia, of course, Gabriel Rivera is a title holder right now. Chakal Pro is a title holder right now. They've got quite a few very big talents, and this just does a great job of increasing the popularity of all of them, a little bit of an overness boost for everyone. And these video packages, right? You talked before, you weren't sure if video packages score lower than some of the other packages out there, and this is a good example of what a good video package roll looks like. And to boost an entire faction certainly has to be more effective than boosting an individual in that regard. Everybody gets lifted by the tide on this one.
Yeah, not terrible.
Well, we move on to a fatal 4-way street fight match.
Did he copy me for this week?
What? So
Is it all packages and street fights?
You have a lot of segments rather than packages. He's doing a lot of packages, so you are differing. So, he's getting credit towards a goal.
Packages and street fights versus segments and street fights.
Yeah, some could say.
Okay.
You'll see the sheer volume of packages we have planned a little bit later on.
I can't wait.
But look, we got a fatal 4-way street fight first, and 2 new feuds. Because Gambler, right? We know he has been feuding with Gabriel Rivera for the title. And he's been a great fighter. The Gambling Addict, 3-7 record. He has won individual matches before, but has yet to do so against Gabriel Rivera once Gabriel won that belt. But Hijiro Boldo calls him out. It's like, look, you got lucky to be feuding a guy that happened to win the title. But I know what you're capable of. I know what I'm capable of. And I deserve that shot too. So if you are going to sit there and try to claim that you're better than all the rest of us upper mid-carders, when you have yet to earn the right to call yourself a main eventer, when you have yet to earn the right to be a true title challenger for a belt like this, well, someone has to take you down a peg. And if that needs to be me, who's too cool to let such labels wear me down, I'll bring you back down to size. I'm happy to be the one to put you in your place. And meanwhile, you've got Max Campbell, right? Who we just saw in La Sagrada Familia. He's got El Arcangel de Fuego and the School of the Phoenix well at his side. The 4'4", 27-year-old heel. He has had a bit, but since he has been really spotlighted on the big stage and has been looking for a challenger that he thinks could propel him to greater heights. And he found one in Ishikami. Another 4'4". This guy, a face who's just on that verge of overness. But the aggressive biker who has been looking for a chance to prove himself here and to also take that next step. All of these guys, this is a really talented upper mid card focused card tonight. And with these 4 talented wrestlers each hunting for a chance to climb to the main event, climb into a title picture, the question becomes, Xander, who do you think is getting the edge tonight?
Yeah, listen, I see Gambler, and Gambler's just not meta right now. Okay,
Mm.
just not meta um, in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a lot of other stuff is good. Ogre, Executioner, um,
Well, you
and
always think Ogre Executioner is good.
um, and so I gotta go with the only reasonable choice here. Okay, and that
Mm-hmm.
is the guy that is the closest to getting over. And that's going to be Hijiro Bolo.
See, I can see why you'd say that. And I'll be honest, if it was my league, I'd be giving it to Hijiro as well because I want that guy to get over. I'd love a 4-3 here. But Eduardo's thinking the long game. And he's thinking to himself, when Gabriel Rivera is done with Gambler, he needs someone new in the title picture. And Max Campbell would be really good in that title picture. So he's the one getting the win. It is a tough hit for Ishikami because it's a morale hit, not an overness hit, which is important here. Um, but still, minor losses. A nice win for Max Campbell continues to give him a bit of a boost. A 4.5-star match, which has to be feeling good, especially with that interesting story. No holy shit moment, which I imagine just comes from the fact that you disagree with the philosophy on this one.
Yep, disagree. Not going to happen.
Yeah, well, it's
Should
definitely
have been Hijiro.
some good feuds, and I do find it fascinating that the main event ready feud and the greatest wrestler feud very close to each other in terms of starting skill set. Both of these are going to do wonders for each of these competitors moving forward. But we move on to an R leader segment, and I got to tell you, Eduardo, when we were doing this, he was a little bit frustrated because did you know, Xander, that if you have a leader leave the faction due to a headhunting feud, they are still considered to be the leader of the faction, even as the faction says that they
That's
have no leader,
that's crazy.
because he was never technically removed.
Definitely not a coding oversight.
No, especially because there's no like confirm button to like make sure that you're comfortable with a certain action. And so when you hit something like remove leadership, for instance, the game will just penalize you 10 experience for the faction, which is a really cool and fun thing for them to do. And Eduardo was a little bit frustrated because he very often ends up being the guy who finds these holes in the game's code. But turns out this worked out very well in the long run because it's a
Yeah.
4.5-star segment. Kenji Ryota has been introduced as the new leader here. This gives an overness boost to everybody. No experience for the faction. That's a little bit surprising to me, but thankfully the faction maintained its rank, so there wasn't any like reputation drop
Yeah.
from that. But this is a very good segment, and the overness and popularity that everyone gets from it, I think, will be worth the minor reputation hit, even though very silly interaction.
No, for sure. I mean, it is kind of a goofy interaction, but listen, hey, I have also benefited from some goofy interactions before with factions, so
Mhm.
I'm happy that this time it was not just outwardly detrimental for Eduardo here.
Absolutely. I also will say, I think it's interesting, full time managers can give a boost to a segment rating that's separately mentioned here. I wonder if that increases the maximum score that this segment could have had. As someone who doesn't have any managers in my promotion outside of Johnny Scott taking care of Arsenico, and none of them are full time, right? I didn't draft a full time manager, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't get this boost anyway. I do wonder if that's something I should take into account in the future. But for now, we move on to a feud package. This feud package, another 4-star segment here, focusing on Haley and Violetta, right? This is a feud that Haley almost tried to like put behind her, right? She was a little disappointed by that match against Violetta when she called out the open challenge for the greatest championship. But Violetta continues to climb her way up. She keeps looking for opportunities to prove herself. She's had some losses along the way, but she's still considered a very talented wrestler, a very strong wrestler, and one that I think there's a lot of upside for. And as she continues to challenge Haley for the title, I think that boosting this feud, giving it a little bit more love, that 12 hype, and a popularity boost for Haley. Not that Haley needed it as much as Violetta, let's be honest, but you're never going to be mad at a 5 popularity increase. And Vince Bailey did his part. It's a 4-star segment.
Well done, Vince.
Yeah. Now we've got a champion segment here.
Oh boy.
Psycho Circus talking about how awesome their reign is going to be as the Campeonato de Pescaro Masculino championship holders. They're the first ones to take this title that weren't the Hiroshima Hadis or the Corazones de Lucha. And I got to say, the overness boost for them, a popularity boost for them, does go a long way. They were not considered to be near face of the company status. In fact, I'm not sure that both of their wrestlers are over at this point in time. And maybe that is why the segment unfortunately low rolled a little bit compared to everything else tonight, though it'll be safely dropped. I don't think that's going to be a concern as far as the final score goes. But yeah, I think giving Psycho Circus a bit of a boost is the right call here, and should help them well in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, obviously not a great segment rating, but I love Psycho Circus having the belt. I've been a big fan of them in the Campeonato de Lucha Sur. I've rooted for them incessantly. The fact that they hold the belt makes me happy. So let's
Ab-
go, Psycho Circus.
Absolutely, positively. And we move on to a main event package. This package hyping up our final match of the night, Kyle Cage and Chakal Pro. And there you go, Eduardo, 4.5 stars. Who needs a match, honestly? With all
Yeah,
these 4-star segments and 4.5-star segments.
you're looking at a 4.5 or 4.25 off of just segments right now. I
Yeah.
mean, you get a and let's be real, you get a 5 star right here. You might be at 4.5, 4.75.
It's very possible, especially with two incredible performers like Kyle Cage and Chakal Pro. And let's just get into that, right? Because Chakal
Yeah.
Pro, he is the Nova champion right now. But you're going to note
Hmm.
this is not a title match because this is not
Hmm.
a pole match. And Eduardo likes to do these sometimes where it's like, look, Kyle Cage, he believes he's the UK's best. He believes that he has what it takes to be a great title holder. He had this title before Chakal Pro took it from him. And he says, look, Chakal, I want another opportunity at the belt. I want to prove that I deserve that as we head into this next gold pay per view. And Chakal Pro says, you know what? Okay. If you can beat me in a street fight, I'll give you that opportunity. And if not, you don't get to challenge for this belt anymore. That's what it takes. If you're really the best that the UK has to offer, you should have no problem beating me in a street fight tonight. But I got to tell you, I'm the best lucha wrestler in a company with a lot of strong lucha wrestlers. And if you come at me with anything less than your best, I'm going to put you in the dirt. And that's the match in front of us here. Kyle Cage versus the title holder, Chakal Pro. Do you think Kyle Cage asserts himself with a victory here and earns that a chance to try to reclaim his title, or does Chakal Pro take a boost and put him down?
No, I do think it's going to be Kyle Cage getting the win. If the belt was on the line, I would say it's not even a question. Chakal wins, but this is a street fight. This is maybe a little more Kyle Cage oriented. Maybe he's just a little bit more of an expert in the street fights. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got that shovel looks gold. You know, he's ready to go with that thing.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say that it is. You know, from a game perspective. Sorry, my brain is not working, but like for the stats here,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to give it to Chakal. Chakal's 10-10. You know, you really do risk him falling under face of the company status if he loses that belt anytime soon,
Mm-hmm.
which may not be the case. Eduardo may not be planning on that at all, but when I see that, I would want to give him the win here. But I think tonight. It's going to go to Kyle Cage. They're going to keep this feud alive, keep this going. I like the narrative between these two, and so from that end, it's got to go to Kyle.
You're absolutely right. It is a Kyle Cage victory. It is a 5-star match,
Five-star
and it's a
match.
hot match, which means both of them get a popularity boost, which you'll love to
Nice.
see. I got two bonuses, lively start and a blood bonus. So
Did
uh,
it get a holy shit moment?
it did get a
It
holy
did.
shit moment. The one time you predict correctly gets the holy shit moment. You're not
Yep.
beating the allegations of
Nope.
being in the developer's DMs.
I am not beating the allegations, but you're welcome, Eduardo.
Kyle Cage kicking out of the finisher, using his body to get up and ask to be finished off. You'll love to see it. And look, you love to see. I'm gonna hit the button here, and I gotta tell
Four and
you,
a half.
4.5,
Yeah.
which ties
Solid.
his
Solid.
best score of this set of weeklies. Which
Yep.
you know, I think he went into this saying, well, packages are what they are. I have no expectations for this upcoming weekly because I think that I can't catch up to both Xander and Chase, given our current scores. So I'm just going to power push to get to that production facility level 3 so that some of these low scoring packages don't matter anymore. And what ended up happening was the best run of packages he's ever had in his company,
Uh huh.
including multiple over 4-star packages and 3 matches that were all consistently very good,
I mean,
including
the first and last were amazing. They
yeah,
were fantastic.
and a reminder, right? Like Christopher Knox, Davey Airborne, those were two people I think were underutilized. And,
Yeah.
I understand Ward is a very busy guy. He hasn't necessarily had a lot of time to think about what things outside of the title pictures look like. But this is a reminder of just how much potential there is in the Campeonato de Luchasaur, right? Think about
Hmm.
how many other talented wrestlers there are that are just itching for that opportunity to prove themselves the way these two did tonight. The way I think everyone in this match, I mean, sure, it was 4.5 stars. That's still a very good match for people that are not in the title picture, no main eventers included whatsoever. And obviously, I just want to see Kyle Cage and Chakal Pro keep wrestling for a while. So great stuff, Eduardo. You're going to be mad that this worked out for you, but I'm happy for you. And I hope that balances it out. Oh,
That's
goodness.
good stuff.
You do truly love to see it. But we move on for now to a very interesting card here from our good pal Walter. We know Stamford Wrestling Alliance has been putting in some really interesting matches, some really interesting storylines. And as you always like to put it, right, this is where you and I can get some ideas, things that we can take into um, our own promotions. And we're certainly going to get one new idea I'm ecstatic about, which is the tag team tournament that will be held between this weekly and the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup. I am so excited to see how that works out, what the storytelling of that looks like, and how these tag teams work in a tournament style setting. But for tonight, Xander, what do you want to see from the Stanford Wrestling Alliance?
Yeah, from the Stanford Wrestling Alliance. I mean, listen, obviously getting a little glimpse here at some of the events they've got coming up, but I'm looking forward to a lot of the storytelling, a lot of the matches. You got the Dominatus Tenebris, you got Prodigy with all the stuff that they've just recently done, the turn and all that. Again, I really like what Walter's been doing. It's been pretty fantastic from the storytelling end. Utilizing some unique packages, utilizing some, unique ideas about how to push wrestlers up and bring some wrestlers down. Again, I'm looking forward to the whole thing.
Absolutely. And let's get into it with quite the segment to start this card. Uh, you get Daniel Stevenson coming out to the ring and saying, Christopher Devlin, I have a bone to pick here because I was meant to have a match last week against Jules Murphy for a chance to earn a title spot against you. And Ethan Wilde got in my way. He literally attacked me in the parking lot. It was stolen from me. And I deserve that opportunity. I am the leader of Eternum. I am one of the best wrestlers in this promotion. And I need to get that match. So come out here and face me and give me what I deserve. And Christopher Devlin, of course, comes back out here and says, look, I am a gracious champion. But let's be clear. Ethan Wilde was able to take something for you because you were weak as a leader. You were unable to keep him in line. You would never see this from Dominatus Tenebris, right? We take care of our shit. He's just gonna not talk about Tyler Dynamite, I am sure. But
Naturally.
but look, I understand that you didn't have your shot last week. But you know who else didn't have your shot? Jules Murphy. That was stolen from him too. So you know what? You two are gonna have a match at the pay-per-view, and the winner is gonna come and face me in the final match of the night. But here's the deal. If you fail, Daniel Stevenson, you need to give me something. And Daniel Stevenson's like, I'm not going to fail. So what are your terms? And Devlin says, I don't want you to join Dominatus Tenebris if you lose, because I don't think you're worth it. But if you fail, you have to admit that you're not good enough as a faction leader, and Eternum is no more. And before he can continue, Stevenson immediately agrees, gives him a "you're on," and shakes Devlin's hand. So those are the stakes, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Stevenson has to beat Jules Murphy and then beat Christopher Devlin. And if he fails to do either of those things at the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup, Eternum is no more. And that's some damn stakes right
Oh
there.
boy. Yeah, that's pretty spicy. That's pretty spicy.
Yeah. Now pay no attention to the fact that this feud is called End of the Line. I'm sure that is in no way a bad sign for how
Nope.
this is going to go for Daniel. But I look, I love this, right? Like Devlin
Yeah.
is such a fun guy to have on the top of the card. And Daniel does need to prove himself, right? You can't let a group like Short operate and beat you in a Civil War feud without there being consequences. So we'll see. Hey, maybe he steps up and Dominatus Tenebris ends up going their own way. Who knows? We could see. Maybe. It's technically possible.
It's technically possible.
Now, this +0 hype is a little bit mean. I don't know why the game's being harsh enough on that front. Um, but we have a very fun match here. Kevin Bates. Kevin Bates has been my favorite running joke in this entire company here, because every time someone needs a match, demands a match from Walter, and they're like, I'll fight the next guy through the door, Kevin Bates has been that guy. And Walter comes up to Kevin and is like, you know what? I am impressed by the attitude that you've taken with this. You have been willing to take on all challengers, regardless of the threats you've been facing, regardless of the strength of these competitors. And I think that's great. But if I'm going to give you an opportunity to challenge Cobra Gaston for the belt, something I know that you want, Kevin, you need to be able to beat a guy like Rocca first. And, Kevin, honestly, looks a little bit nervous. Rocca hasn't gotten a win yet, but he is the submission machine. He's a 27-year-old neutral 3-3 wrestler, someone who has done well in faction focused matches in the past. But this is his opportunity. And for Rocca, this is Rocca's opportunity, right? He's only 19 popularity away from becoming a main eventer again, something he once was. He would love to get back at it. He would love to get back in the good graces of his faction. So they both have a lot to prove here. The question is, does Kevin Bates have what it takes to win a match against Rocca, or is he going to be relegated back to being the guy who people fight when they need a guy to fight?
No, it's going to be Rocca taking the dub tonight.
Wow, no faith in Kevin Bates, huh?
Nope. I listen, Rocca needs a solo win, okay?
Mm-hmm.
3-3, 63 over. Morale's at 81 right now, and the guy's a submission machine. Okay? And I look at these two and Kevin Bates, sure, has some upside, but like Rocca, man, he's neutral. You throw him into anything, it works. This guy's a main eventer off of this win potentially. I like from a gameplay perspective, fantastic. From a narrative perspective, I think either of these guys could move up the card. But even on that end, I'm choosing Rocca because it's just comprehensively, in my opinion, the way to go.
Well, we know that Walter makes all his decisions based on narrative. And I got to be
Mhm.
honest, I think Walter has the same fondness for Kevin Bates that I do. Kevin's getting the win. It's a 4.5 star match. 6 popularity wasn't going to shift the needle for either of them in that main event push. But at the end of the day, I like seeing Kevin Bates do well. He has been a good linchpin. He's kind of a face, which Walter needs to do well in a company with a lot of very talented heels. But he is also factionless, which gives him some flexibility as a tool in the arsenal. So I think there's a lot of narrative reasons why Kevin Bates getting a win here works well. But I do agree with you. I think Rocca deserves an opportunity sooner rather than later. And I don't know if he's going to need to have like a heel turn or a face turn or whatever to get that opportunity, what it's going to take for him to be that next guy. But I think with a 4.5 star match, Walter's going to be pretty happy with that.
No,
But Xander, he's pretty and deadly.
no. Oh
Well,
wait, did you scroll all the way down there? Oh, and then we scroll back up. Oh, weird. There's no holy shit moment there. Crazy.
oh man, like these pure companies are doing their best, okay? They don't do the gimmicks like the rest of us do.
That's what
Whatever.
it was.
It's okay, Walter. I'll continue to like it. And that's sometimes can be enough. But we've got quite the fight on our hands.
Yeah, this is fire. This is fire. I love this.
Christopher Devlin going backstage after having, given Daniel Stevenson the business, and he's backstage trash talking whoever he's going to face. Daniel Stevenson, he's a scrub. He's a bad leader. He can't keep anybody in line. I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of Jules Murphy. The Kingdom, nothing. They're overrated. They've got one guy that has ever done anything, and the rest of them are all frauds. And Tyler Dynamite and the rest of Prodigy have had enough of his bullshit. And they all come out and deck him. Just absolutely knock him to the floor. Tyler Dynamite gets some of those punches in. He's someone we've seen. He's a face, but he's willing to use what he learned as a heel to beat up on a bully like Devlin. And he points out the same thing we pointed out earlier on, right? That, Devlin can talk trash about bad leaders, but look at how he treated Tyler Dynamite, and look how much better Tyler's been since leaving Dominatus Tenebris. Now, of course, Dominatus Tenebris immediately come back out. They've got a numbers advantage, so they have an edge in the fight, and they get the opportunity to counterattack. So they do ultimately take the slight edge here, though this is not a segment that requires an edge. But look at all these numbers going orange, my friend. Look at this.
No, that's an amazing. I mean, that again, I love this. That you got the fight, everything goes hot. This is fantastic.
Yeah, let's see. That's a hot segment. Hollywood Bound and Prodigious went hot. Tyler Dynamite Devlin went hot. Eddie Davis Tyler Dynamite went hot. Dominatus Tenebrous Prodigy went hot. And oh, by the way, Thomas Austin is over with the fans. So that's another great worker. I believe a Dominatus Tenebrous guy that we haven't actually seen a lot of in individuals' performance. So maybe a new threat in Walter's arsenal. And yeah, Dominatus Tenebrous now one more hot member or one good feud win away from becoming Reputation 7. So yeah, incredible segment.
Yep, love it. Gonna steal it.
Well, we move on for now to a match between Eat Our Dust and the Scribners. And now Eat Our Dust, right? They've just formally formed as a tag team, and they're hungry to prove themselves heading into the big tournament. They're just talking backstage. Chase, we got to make sure we got everything on point before this event. Axel, I got you. Look, here's how we can kind of build things up. And the Scribners just scoff at him and roll their eyes like, huh, look at these amateurs. They think that they've got a chance in this tournament. And Chase, being the babyface that he is, goes, hey, if you got a problem with us, let's settle it in the ring tonight. And since the Scribners don't see Eat Our Dust as a serious threat, they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let's settle this in the ring tonight. And so that's where we're at. This is a prove yourself match, since Eat Our Dust are a very new tag team between themselves and the Scribners. So, who do you like in this match here, Xander?
Listen, I like the Scribners, man. I always like the Scribners. Okay, not always, but I like the Scribners here. I think Eat Our Dust. You got Chase, you got Axel, but I think it's got to be the Scribners right now.
Look, I appreciate your appreciation for the Scribners. I do think there are big plans for the Scribners in the long run, but we've got a
Boo,
tag tournament coming out. And Eat
boo.
Our Dust has two high rated wrestlers who could win this thing, potentially. And if you're going to do that, you need a win under your belt. And that's why Eat Our Dust is getting the win in a 4.5-star match. No holy shit moment, because again, you are booing,
Yep,
and that is how this
yep.
works. But I think it's a solid start to a feud here between these two. And again, I'm going to give it some praise, not just because I like seeing Chase win games, but I think this is nice. I think Eat Our Dust is a much more serious contender to win a tag title than the Scribners are right now. I think the Scribners would need some work more than a single win against Eat Our Dust can provide. So I think it's the right call. You clearly disagree.
Yeah, of course I disagree. It should have been the Scribners. All right, the Scribners have wrestled together before. They're related. Um, and Eat Our Dust. I get what you're saying. Blah blah blah. New tag form. Really solid wrestlers. But I listen. I don't think that they would have the synergy to overcome the Scribners off the rip. Okay, I was clearly wrong, but it wasn't that hype of a match. All right,
It is
lively.
worth
It started off
noting,
lively.
it is worth remembering, right? They did have a match together before they became a formal tag team. So they have
Okay,
wrestled
sure.
together in the ring before that was announced. It was a coming together. I think they may have even wrestled twice as a tag before they were formally named Eat Our Dust. So this record doesn't quite reflect the whole story there. But I do get your point. It's something that I've taken very seriously in my own storytelling. But to each their own, we do move on to a split interview. And this is one I don't think we've seen in a bit. Unfortunately, Muhammad Fox, that's a low roll here. So even though it would have been a 4-star segment, it ends up being a little bit lower. But this is a split interview between Empress Kabuki and Angelina Cardinal. And this is a feud we've seen for a while now, right? The Empress needs a competitor. She doesn't believe that Angelina Cardinal is good enough. She doesn't believe anybody at the Stamford Wrestling Alliance is good enough. And her record shows that, right? I mean, she has yet to lose a match. She's got double-digit wins. She's been untouchable. And Angelina points out, hey, if you're so untouchable, why is it when the two of us went, toe to toe last week when we got right up in each other's faces, I was the one who stood tall, and you were the one who fell flat on your ass. And the Empress did not take that very well. It led to a lot of shouting. A lot of it was in Japanese, so I do not know what the Empress said, but she was clearly furious about it. And they eventually, I think there were enough swears that they had to move on from the segment. But I love the hate that these two have for each other here, and I do think that Made in Japan versus the Lads benefits a lot for how strong this feud between the two of them has been.
Yeah, yeah, spicy. Always love a good interview. Unfortunately, Muhammad, he checked his PayPal before this, and maybe he bumped the camera a couple times.
Yeah, they didn't get to a couple of those bleeps fast enough, so they
Yep,
had a little bit of a rub. It bleeped at the wrong spots, but hey.
getting some phone calls from the FCC.
Well, we'll let the Stanford Wrestling Alliance worry about that. We have another match on our hands between Dominatus Tenebris and Prodigy. Now, this is not a trios title match because this is not the collection of Dominatus Tenebris members that are currently title holders, but these are the three that got in the most heated part of the fight earlier tonight. Cairo Oliver, Joey Stone, you would know as part of Hollywood Bound. They are joined by Eddie Davis here tonight. So those tag champions working together here alongside Eddie Davis. But on the other side, you've got Prodigy. You've got the classic trio, D'Angelo Starr, Jordan Wolfe, Devontae Harrell. But for the first time, they're wrestling as faces. We had that wonderful segment last week where Tyson Morriso talked about the bond he had between himself and Tyler Dynamite's dad, and the idea that, look, whatever happens after this Dominatus Tenebris feud is what happens. But for right now, we've got your back here at Prodigy. And they came out for him tonight, right? They were there in that fight, ready to go, ready to back him up. And now they're in this 3v3 match. So the question becomes, Xander, who do you think gets the upper nod?
There's only one way I can root here, and that's got to be with Prodigy. Okay, I love the storytelling that's going on there. I think that this is the start of some really high end matches between the members of Prodigy and Dominatus Tenebris. Obviously, a little bit's been going on already, but I think that this is just going to elevate that, and it starts with Prodigy getting the win after the turn.
Yeah, I would usually be concerned, seeing tag champions plus another person. That seems like a recipe for success. But you're right. It is Prodigy getting the win here. It's unfortunately only a 4-star segment, and Dominatus Tenebris loses a little bit of overness from it. Not a lot, nothing they need to worry about in the long run. And you didn't give him a holy shit moment. That feels a little rude, but a 4-star match is nothing to be mad about, I suppose, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, just yeah. Listen, they get the dub. It's great.
they get the dub. You're happy about it, but not happy enough to give them a holy shit moment. I see how
Listen,
it is.
listen, listen, listen. It's the start to a feud, okay? And it's not. I'm sorry. It's the start to the new the renovated matchups between them. When you get this next big matchup between one of the members of Prodigy and one of those feuds, there's a holy shit moment coming. I promise you, Walter.
Yeah, well, he's gonna hold you.
Regardless of who wins.
He's
Yep.
gonna hold you to that, I'm sure. But right now, we have a very interesting match. It is a 5-way elimination match with quite a lot of different feuds in here between Amanda Ace, Maester Gomez, Raven, Aiko Haruka, and Talia Adler. Now, Amanda Ace obviously 1 point away from going over, and I'm sure Walter would like to not have a 2-2. If he could replace it with a 3-3, that sure would be nice. But this is not about pure gameplay, right? It never has been with him. This is the opportunity to compete for Brooklyn Cambriel's Mildred S. Robinson Cup title. And all of these competitors are looking for that opportunity, right? The ability to be in a title match at the next pay-per-view, something everybody wants. Everybody's going to give their best for, and all of them have their reasonings, right? Tale Adler, sure, she doesn't have the highest popularity, but she's done so much for Made in Japan, and while she's been mostly a manager, this would be a huge boost. The Empress's manager going on to be in a match like this, I'm sure the Empress would love to see that. Aiko Haruka, 0-8 right now. A win would be massive for her future because if you hit 0-8, 0-9, 0-10, it becomes very tough for people to take you seriously as the warrior that Aiko believes herself to be. Raven also a manager for Drew King, and we talked earlier, the Kingdom needs wins, right? The Kingdom needs a strong female presence that would go a long way for him. And we cannot sleep on Maester Gomez, someone who constantly finds a way to win these kinds of qualification matches, but has fallen short whenever it comes to winning an actual title. And at some point, that luck has to run dry. So the question is, which of these five talented female wrestlers is going to get the victory and earn a shot to compete against Brooklyn Cambriel at the next pay-per-view?
From the narrative end, I think it's gonna. I think it will go to Raven. The Kingdom really do need a dub right now, and having a strong woman in their faction would be huge. That being said, is this going to be the one time that Walter plays the game on this card tonight and gives it to Amanda Ace like he should?
I mean, I think it would make a lot of sense. The aces all get a little bit of
Uh,
love. But no, of course he's not going to play it by the game.
okay,
We
fair,
know how
fair,
this goes.
fair.
And the answer is, of all these competitors, one of them has a feud with Brooklyn Cambriel, and Maester
Oh,
Gomez is
okay. So it's just Maester getting the dub. Okay, fair
once
enough.
again earning her opportunity. The story with Maester's clear, right? One way
Yep.
or another, she always squeaks out these wins. She always finds her way at the top of the pile. And Brooklyn Cambriel is standing at the top of the ramp, looking down at Maestra, going, ah, shit, here we go again. And it's going to be a fight that hopefully settles that feud in the very near future. I will say, I do want to see what Walter has going with the Kingdom. I hope that that's something that we get to see develop sooner rather than later. But for now, we got our first holy shit moment of the night. Maester Gomez
That
spitting
that one's not
Aiko
from me,
Haruka's
just for the
face.
record. That he just earned that one.
Well, no, you were just making up for the last one, obviously.
No, no, no,
Um,
no. He's gonna get another holy shit moment for that in the next feud.
I
The next feud match that they're running, regardless of who wins, even if I root against it. That was my promise.
got it.
This one, he just got.
He
I
just earned
didn't
it.
give this one.
He just
Yep.
earned it. Well, I do like a good spitting in the face when asking for a handshake, and I hope that gives a nice feud here boost to the Maestra Aiko feud. So we will see what is in store for the rest of these women at the Mildred, excuse me, at the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup. Oh
My
boy,
gosh, it's Wesley versus Chase.
man, who could have seen this coming? Wesley Lee Morris comes out to the arena and says, "Look, Short hasn't been given opportunities since we won that last feud against Eterno. We proved ourselves as the better faction, but all these other people are trying to steal the spotlight from us. And I'm here to remind everybody that Short is a force to be reckoned with. And I am the, outside of Ethan Wild, of course, I am the biggest threat that Short has to offer. So I'll take on Eddie in this company. And you know what? Ethan has been so generous as to say that if anyone can come out here and beat me, that person will wrestle Ethan Wild for the men's championship at the next pay per view. And look, Chase is like, yeah, look, I've got my tag stuff going on. I know I'm tired. I've been putting in the work, but at the end of the day, I deserve a shot. I've put in the work, and I would love to get one of these title shots. And so he's here. The Warrior is going to grit through whatever fatigue he may have after fighting earlier tonight. And he's going up against Wesley Lee Morris. The question is he going to come away with a win?
I think it's going to be Wesley. I think it's got to be Wesley. I think Walter decided going into this match that it was going to be a Wesley Lee Morris win, regardless of who shows up. I don't think Walter would be the kind to be like, well, if he's over 900 popularity, it's got to be that guy. You know, like or I can't imagine that Walter was like, but if it's Chase, you know, I,
Well,
so I think it's Wesley Lee Morris getting the win.
so here's the thing. I think if Walter thought to himself, wait, one of these people could be someone that's meant to be in the tag competition, and having them wrestle in both could be a real big problem in terms of like fatigue and potentially being an injury risk. I think he would have said, yeah, Wesley Lee Morris wins no matter what. He told me to hit the random button, my friend.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
And
Oh, and it's a
Chase
Chase! Oh, and
took
it's a terrible
the
match.
win.
This
It's a
Chase is so tired.
terrible match. Lack of psychology. Everyone's like, why would Wesley lose when he called out anybody? That's a disaster. I I look, I'm happy because
Oh,
Chase won
it's
and I
so
want the best for
funny.
him.
It's so
But
funny.
God, yeah, it's the fans are not happy at Wesley Lee Morris taking an L here after everything we just talked about. The open challenge match decrease also does not help,
And got a holy shit
but
moment.
it's a holy
That's
shit moment. And according to the lore that Walter gave me, that means that Chase will be competing against Ethan Wild for the men's
oh
championship.
my
He
god,
specifically said if he loses the coin flip, that person gets a chance to wrestle Ethan Wild.
dude.
So,
That's so funny. It's so funny that of course it's Walter's gonna be fuming when he watches this. I cannot wait.
I see. I don't know if he's going to be madder that it's Chase or madder that it's someone who's meant to be like a fixture in the tag
Uh huh.
competition, right?
Uh huh. No,
Because if
both.
Edar Dust
That's
weren't
yeah.
meant to do well in the tag, you'd probably give the win to the Scribners.
Uh huh.
Oopsie
Oh,
poopsie.
that's so funny. That's so funny. It's so funny.
Man,
Oh my god.
I love it. I love this. I wish
Oh
you
no,
the
I love it too. I love it too.
uh,
It sucks he's not rewarded for how hilarious this is with a better star rating,
yeah.
but
The
it
lack
got
of psychology is bullying.
uh,
I think it's
yeah.
great that Chase won, but I guess a
Uh-huh.
little bit biased.
Slight bias, slight bias.
Thank goodness the fatigue here isn't high because I cannot wait to see how Walter responds to this. This is gonna be great. Oh man, this whole you know what? I don't even care if I win the week anymore. This is great. Uh, we
That's
do
too good. That's too good.
we do move on to an event package highlighting the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup, which of course is going to be punctuated by the tag tournament. The ending of that tag tournament will be there at the event. We will be doing a separate episode, Walter and I, filming the tag tournament side of things. So we'll get that to you when it is ready. But of course, that's not the only match we're going to have here. We've got the lads versus Made in Japan. I believe we're going to have a nice 4v4 because that feud has been so strong. There's an elimination match between the Eternum and Kingdom, with the surviving members sending their chosen faction representative, Daniel Stevenson or Jules Murphy, into that match with Christopher Devlin, with the stipulation that Eternum disbands if they cannot beat Devlin and win that elimination match. So it is a lot going on here. And of course, we now know Chase versus Ethan Wild. That's happening. So, I don't know. I guess technically he didn't say it was at the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup, just that he gets the challenge for the men's championship. We'll see how Walter handles it. But at the end of the day, I can't wait to see that match. So, we're going to move on to our last match of the night. It is the gimmick decision on a pole match between Craig Opley and Kenzo Nai. Because let's face it, this feud between Made in Japan and the lads has gone quite hot recently. Both of these factions really trying to get the upper hand on each other. With Craig Opley returning for the lads and Shohei Hirano returning earlier on in, I believe, the 2 weeklies ago. Each attacking the opposing faction. So this is going to be a faction fight between the two, and the winner gets to determine the gimmick at the pay-per-view for that faction feud match. So Certainly, both of these guys want to make sure that they get the victory. They're giving their faction the opportunity to fight on the terms that they want. And so that's what's on the line for Craig and Kenzo Nye, two wrestlers that have already fought before and do not like each other. So the question becomes, who's winning this one, Xander?
I think it's going to be Kenzo Nye coming out on top to decide the situation.
You like Kenzo Nye, and I do understand that. I think Walter wants a face higher up in his card. It is Craig Opley, but it is a
Wow,
five
that's a
star
fire match.
match.
Yep.
Both of them getting an overness boost, both of them getting a popularity boost. You love to see that 5 star. You love
Uh,
to see his third holy shit moment of the night. Craig
yeah.
Opley suplexing Kenzo Nye through the apron, through the table outside. That's another 30 creativity points. And
Two out of three of these he just earned. I didn't give, just for the record. So well done, Walter. You're the first person to do that in weeks.
yeah, it's a really good card. Again, we're seeing a lot of things coming together at the right moment here. I love this from a story perspective. Craig Opley has not said what his gimmick choice is going to be, so we'll have to find out at the pay per view what he has in mind. But this is going to be a 4.5 star card. Again, matching
Yeah.
what he did last week, keeping pace with Eduardo. I think it's a very fun card. I really do think if he just got didn't low roll in 2 different ways for the open challenge match, I think he may have gotten even a little bit higher because he would have been able to drop one of those 3 3/4 star slots. But
For sure.
at the end of the day, I think he still has a lot to be excited about. I think the segment, this Prodigy dominated Tenebris segment,
Oh, that thing is awesome.
mwah,
I love that. Yeah. Chef's kiss. Well
yeah,
done.
really, really well put together. And all of that, and Thomas Austin going hot, getting over with the fans. Yeah, great stuff here from Walter tonight. But, Xander, we move on to you because you and I are tied, but I somehow have the hype lead as of right now across these 2 weeklies. So you get to go first. What can people expect from Glory of Legends tonight?
Gloria Legends, we are back at it again with the faction feuds, the faction, warfare that is going on right now. You have inter faction stuff at play between the largest factions, and you've got your up and coming factions that are trying to make a name for themselves with the key members of those. Groups that have been having just stellar runs, right? Like the Cassidy, like the Police Demos, members, Juge and Briganti is still going strong. And then, I mean, at the end of the day, let's be really honest right now. The hottest stuff that we have everyone feuding with For the People right now. They have been making huge strides. They've been taking belts off of Conquest or Death and Burn It All Down. Currently sitting with no one holding a belt. They are hungry after Executioner Goro's, really surprising loss to Phil Hangtime, who was able to overcome him in that last match. And there's a fury burning there, between Conquest or Death and Burn It All Down as well. You can tell that faction war is gonna begin again soon. It's been foreshadowed time and time again, but that being said, right now you've got Conquest or Death trying to retain their hold on the entire promotion. Johnny sending his soldiers in, trying to make the right tactical decisions while simultaneously keeping his own faction in line, keeping his brothers in line, and members that don't see eye to eye with him anymore. So again, tonight is really a furthering of a lot of that's going on. We're really looking forward to getting these storylines put out to the people for our upcoming No Escape. It's gonna be awesome. There's a ton of hot stuff coming. You're going to see faction feuds getting blown off, faction feuds, coming to a close that have been running again for, I mean, some of these for 2 months now, 3 months now, 4 months now. I mean, there's a lot of really exciting stuff. I can't wait to show it.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it. So let's just jump right in. Dietrich Mullen versus Krieger in a street fight match. I mean, I these two, I believe, have they been fighting before this?
No, no, maybe they had one match before this, but this is a relatively young feud
Hmm.
between Dietrich and Krieger. This might be the faction, the feud start. I honestly cannot remember off the top of my head, but let's get into the narrative of it, okay?
Hmm.
Krieger is a core lieutenant for Burn It All Down. He's predominantly been used though as a manager. You can see there he's on a 3 match losing streak, not looking good. He's had a lot more success making sure other guys are winning. He's been backing some very talented wrestlers in Burn It All Down, but he's out here trying to make a name for himself and remind people that there's a reason why he's been such a successful lieutenant and manager, and it's because he's still a great wrestler. And he sets his sights on Dietrich, who again, Dietrich, the most talented unsigned guy, a really really positive dude. And Krieger sees this as a great opportunity for him to put Dietrich in his place, and really show all of the unsigned wrestlers that listen. Just because you're not part of a faction we're feuding doesn't mean we won't come after you. We'll go for the knees. We'll take you out. You won't be wrestling for a while. And once Burn It All Down is in charge, you're done. You're done running stuff the way you want to independently. That's not going to fly.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Dietrich Mullins, commitment to being an independent wrestler is admirable. But it is something that means that you're not protected. There's no one that's going to come to your side when Krieger comes calling for you. And as the King of Hell, that 1-7 record may not look great on paper, but you look into that guy's eyes, and that's not someone I would want to be in a street fight against. Does Dietrich manage to pull this out, or does Krieger take the victory tonight?
Listen, Dietrich, he's out here saying, I need to win this. I need to make my way to that face of the company status as an independent wrestler. I know I can do it. I know I'm talented enough. But unfortunately, not tonight. Burn It All Down are just too hot, and Krieger's going to be the one ending up taking the win.
Yeah, and it's going to be in a hot match for you. No overness boost because they're already fully over, but both of them getting a popularity boost has to feel great, as does the holy shit moment as Krieger was about to hit Dietrich Mullen with a finisher before they both collapsed from exhaustion. It's a nice 4.5 star match to start off the card, my friend.
And paid for the whole card on the first match. Let's go.
Well, we will. I think that might be a little over
a,
exaggerating
li-
the
a little
payoff,
over
but
exaggerating
still,
because of the last match, but not a heavy over exaggeration.
still very, very good. And we are going to move on here to an event package. So, talk me through everything that people can expect at No Escape, which is this gold pay per view that you've been building towards for a while.
Listen, we highlighted it a little bit just a few moments ago. No escape is exactly what it sounds like. There's no escape. There's no escape for the people fighting in these faction warfare matches. And you can expect one type of gimmick match to show up not once, not twice, but no less than 3 times. There's going to be a steel cell. And it's going to be a place where brutality and victory are hand in hand.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So many faction feeds that you've been building are going to really pay off here. And yeah, we will see how the rest of tonight helps shape that further, including this match here, which I've been looking forward to because I love me some Regan Awesome, but you also know I've been a big fan of what you've been doing with Animal Fukuoka since he joined the company. So talk me through this. This is our home street fight match.
Yeah, listen, Regan and Animal have been going back and forth. Animal, came in hot, got some wins, and was racking them up. But he and Regan have really, started throwing down. Regan saying, "Hey, this is our home. This is Gloria Legends. And if you want to walk into this promotion, then you got to be doing it the way that all of us do it and be as talented as folks like myself." Now, I'll also say that was before Regan Awesome joined Bright Future. He was an unsigned wrestler when this feud started. So now, as a member of Bright Future, he's pointing and saying, "Listen, this guy's a heel out here. He's trying to take out people. He's been targeting anyone he can get his hands on, and Bright Future's supposed to stand for something. We are that, younger face faction. We use that term loosely, but especially with Regan, he's only 19. He really is like the mascot, if you will, for Bright Future, and saying we see a world where, you know, uh, burn it all down and conquest or death and all this nonsense are irrelevant, and people can just live their lives, wrestle how they want to, who they want to, and everything can really get more of a focus on that, and not be bogged down so much by having to brutalize each other in this faction warfare.
Yeah, I mean that faction back and forth has certainly uh, been a lot to unpack in a lot of these other feuds. I do love the back and forth we've had here. Who are you giving the edge to tonight?
Well, tonight it's going to be Regan Awesome taking the win.
Hell yeah. Yep, it's a 4.5 star match. The interesting story boost. I don't have the ability to do that, but I would have given it to you if I did. I like seeing Regan Awesome do well. And look, Animal might take a little bit of a hit, but it's nothing he can't handle. They're both still main eventers and both still going to be doing great things moving forward as the feud continues to roll on.
Absolutely.
But we move on now to a backstage attack. Kanoto Karius taking on Bright Future?
Yeah. Again, Kanoto Karius, you've seen him going at Police Demos, you've seen him going at Bright Future, and Brigante, anyone they can get their hands on. And right here, right now, they say this is the time. Police Demos are not the only target. If we see members of Bright Future hanging around, we've said it once, we've said it twice. We will come there, we will come in force, and we will absolutely demolish anyone who's there. And so Cassidy leads the way here with Xander not far behind him, and they go and they absolutely pummel Bright Future.
Yeah, I didn't think I needed to wait for you to hit the button. I know the kind of story you've been telling on Kanoto Karius, but I'm glad I did because it's 4.75 stars. The producer focus certainly helps. A lot of different feuds getting a nice 6 point hype bonus on it. Um, and Bruno Henderson getting a little bit of a gimmick boost, increasing his overness by 5%. I don't think he necessarily needed it, but I'm sure he's going to take it. Um, and not a huge boost in terms of overness or stats, but certainly the kind of segment that gets a lot of feuds moving forward, and the fans are loving it. It's a well put together slot here.
100%. Again, Kanoto Karius, man, they've shown, listen, we don't need to be the highest popularity. We don't need to be the most popular, the highest ranked. We know how to brutalize people. We've seen what these other top factions have done, and we're going to take it to the next level. And that's what's going to set us apart. And flat out, they're doing it right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And very well done. But we move on to a very interesting match for that because the Burgundy Bandits, having just attacked Bright Future, you would understand if they were going to then try to pick a fight with someone from Bright Future. But instead, it appears they've turned their attention to Vinland Saga. So
Yeah,
what's led to that
listen,
tonight?
listen. I'll be honest. Why you would think that they'd pick a fight with someone from Brave Future? Brave Future scrambled. They ran. They're gone. Okay, they
Mm-hmm.
they just got absolutely demolished backstage. They're licking their wounds and cleaning up. Burgundy Bandits, Cassidy and Xander did not take a single hit as they beat up Bright Future. That was not a backstage brawl. That wasn't a backstage fight. That was a backstage ambush. Okay. And so I want to make that really clear because Burgundy Bandits are feeling good. They're feeling really motivated now. They just beat the crap out of a faction that they don't like. And Xander Cage and Cassidy are sitting here, and let's be real, Cassidy, Burgundy Bandits, this has been a design of theirs to push this faction to the next level, utilizing this tag. But they also see a world, Cassidy just very honestly sees a world in which he's not going to have the time to be putting everything into this tag. And right now, don't forget there's a headhunting feud going on here.
Mm.
There's a really key headhunting feud going on here, and he's looking at Bear and saying, "Bear, you're coming over. This conquest or death stuff is done. You're done with it. I told you you're done with it. I told you that you were going to join, back when I wasn't even in a faction, when I was thinking about a faction, and
Mm.
you were saying no, 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 you're coming to conquest or death. No, that's ridiculous. Now you can see what Konodo Karius is made of, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen. And after I do that to you, your brother's coming too."
Yeah, I mean, it is a fascinating feud here. I love Vinland Saga, and I hate to see them lose. I hate to see them hurting. I think there's some incredible wrestlers, but I got to be honest, from a narrative perspective, given that they are on the outs with Conquest or Death, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to win this one. So I have to imagine I'm about to click that burgundy button.
You're about to click that Burgundy Bandits button.
And it's another 4.5 star match. Consistently 4.5 star matches tonight. Street fight after street fight continuing to go well for you. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just a solid match. Vinland Saga is taking another overness hit, is taking a little bit of a morale hit, but I am hoping that we're hitting towards the end of that feud and maybe they can start getting some wins again soon because I feel for him here, man. There's some really talented Vikings if they just get a shot.
We'll have to see what happens.
We will have to see what happens. Well, what's happening right now is the next match between Alexandre Kennedy and Skullface. Tell me about this match and how this fits into the larger feud between Burn It All Down and For the People.
Yeah, again, Burn It All Down and For the People are going hot. There's a lot going on, and Burn It All Down. Executioner Goro said, "Skullface, you're back. You're healthy. You've been on fire. You're 2-0 right now." Alexandre Kennedy, this guy is weak. Look at this guy's record. You see a 1-12 record. He has lost 7 matches in a row. Now, granted, a lot of these matches are to some of the most talented performers in the company. He's been taking beatdowns from Serpentine Suprema, from any throw any member of cruiserweight contenders, or lightweight belt contenders, or even a couple heavyweight contenders. Even some of the most talented women in this promotion have gone after Alexandre Kennedy because he's a super talented guy, this very good looking, strong wrestler, and he doesn't have anyone really behind him. For the People have kind of just trusted that he'll be able to hold his own, and honestly, you can see he's been struggling, and he's been struggling hard. But what Executioner Goro doesn't know is that Alexandre Kennedy has gone back to the drawing board. Alexandre has been sitting and spending a lot of time with Azaki and saying, "Hey, man, how did you do it? You were 0-6 before you took your belt. How did you overcome that deficit? How did you do that?" And Azaki's been giving him pointers. Azaki's been telling him, this is what you got to do. This is how you wrestle. This is how you go about it. Make sure that when you're hitting those finishers, you hit them hard. You finish that match.
Mm-hmm.
And so Alexandre comes out in this match and he looks in much better form than we've seen him. So you've got Skullface, who's healthy, who's hot, and you've got Alexandre, who looks more reinvigorated than he has since his last win.
Well, I have to say, given the story that you just laid out there, it would be bullying to give another heartbreaking loss to the heartbreaker here. I like if he can't do it after the power up montage that you just described, when can he ever? So please tell me you gave Alexandre the win.
Alexandre does get the win tonight. The advice from Azaki Cordova finally coming through. And Skullface is surprised. I mean, Executioner watching this match is surprised. This is
Mm.
the first time, in the recent matches that they've underestimated a member of For the People. And this was the guy that honestly everyone kind of wrote off. So the fact that Alexandre came out and won this is a huge, huge implications in terms of For the People potentially winning this feud that honestly they've been kind of getting their ass handed to them lately.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it is a holy shit moment. Your second of the night. Alexander Kennedy slapping the taste out of Skullface's mouth before they both started brawling. You could tell he came at it with a different energy, a different ferocity, and alongside some cool spots, you get your first 5-star match of the night. And I gotta tell you, as someone who's trying to beat you this week, I don't like the consistency of everything we've seen. I'm a little worried about it. Kind of need you to screw up here towards the end if you don't mind. That'd be
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
that's all I can ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here we got a new segment type I don't think we've seen before, a legendary endorsement. Oh boy. Talk me through it.
Yeah, listen, Hueso de Cabra has come out and said, "Hey, I am a legend in this promotion," and Hueso for a while sat quietly back and sort of just watched Johnny do his thing, you know. Narratively, Hueso was at one point, an emperor, and that was quite a bit ago. But now, he's been sitting still taking part and watching Johnny do it. And you've seen more and more. Hueso has been standing behind members of For the People. He really sees what For the People is doing and says, I think that these are the guys that need to pick up the torch. I think that these are the guys with the idea about how to run this promotion and how to run it well. And he respects Alex Jim, he respects Alexandre, he respects Guy Joe and everybody that's in For the People. But he says, listen, what Azaki's doing right now is nothing short of a miracle for you guys. He took that cruiserweight title after an 0-6 record. Azaki is an animal, and Azaki is the future. You guys should stand behind him. I will stand behind him. And Hueso comes out and just puts his arm around Azaki and really lays out why this guy is the future of the promotion.
I when we were doing the draft, I didn't know this segment existed. And I didn't really understand the power of managers. So I didn't draft any of them. I didn't draft any legends. And if you told me it was a free 5-star segment and an overness and popularity boost for whoever he wants to praise, I got to be honest with you. I think I might have handled things a little bit differently in the draft because that is a very nice bronze star segment. You haven't even had to level this up yet. This first time, 5 stars. I get the sense you might do this again sometime.
You've gotten the sense.
Oh my god. Well,
and I've got 2 managers, so
you've got
enjoy.
look, you've got 3 more segments to screw up so I can have a chance at this one. But we're gonna have to move on to the Executioner taking on Carson Gold. Another great match in the Burn It All Down versus For the People feud that you've got built, alongside a feud that's been going on for a while here. So tell me, why is it that Carson Gold has agreed to get into the ring in a casket match against Executioner Goro?
Yeah, listen, Carson's been taking some losses lately, but Carson has been in some of the highest profile matches for Glory of Legends. Additionally, Carson, he was called to answer. Okay, Executioner Goro is getting a lot more influence, and there was going to be a match between Executioner and a member of For the People. Okay, that was what was laid out to this week, and For the People sat down and they said, "Hey, who wants this?" And Carson said, "Listen, I've been feuding with Executioner before he was since before he was anybody. Okay, I know he's been a faction leader and I know all that, but before Burn It All Down was really this menace that they are now, I was wrestling this guy, and I was doing fine. I was holding my own, and I need a big match right now. And Executioner's not holding the belt. If there was any time that he was beatable, it would be right now. So you know what? I'll step up. I will be the one that goes out there and I will wrestle against Executioner." But remember, Executioner just lost a belt.
Sure did.
And Executioner decided that this is going to be a casket match. Because no matter who came out from For the People, Executioner wants to bury them. He is livid, he is angry, and he has nothing but rage and focus for what he needs to do to win this faction feud, to go up next against Conquest or Death. And he's got his sights set on a much higher belt. But he knows that after these 2 losses, he needs a win. He needs to remind people who Executioner Goro is.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. Carson, I think the logic of, hey, Executioner just lost a couple matches and is hungrier than he's been in a long time. Now's the time to strike is a really bad line of logic, and I have the feeling Executioner Goro is going to punish him here tonight.
Yeah, listen, Carson was a bit overeager. He thought that Executioner losing meant that there was blood in the water. The only blood in the water was his own. He's chummed to this guy right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does not seem to go well for him. It is another 4 3/4 star match. Yay! It's a great match. Loud. Like I can put my competitive nature to the side. This has been quite the card that you've put in front of us here tonight, and it's a well-deserved 4 3/4 star. The crowd is into it. I do like Carson getting another shot here. I do think at 3-13, he's probably gonna need to build himself back up against a kind of a lower ring of talent. But he's a confident big shot, right? He had the confidence, and he has been slain for it tonight. But this is a fascinating segment name here. I gotta be honest. I was this shot before here, or how have we gotten to this dark and gloomy graveyard?
Yeah. So listen, this is something that was shot last night.
Mhm.
Okay. Executioner Goro, after taking out Carson, putting him in the casket, stands up and he grabs the mic and he says, "Let's take a look at where Carson is going." And the jumbotron comes up and it's Executioner Goro standing in the graveyard and he's laughing maniacally. And the camera goes over to him and you see him looking down at a gravestone. And the gravestone has Kai Galvana's name on it. And you see Executioner Goro stand there and dump out a trash can filled with worms. And then he pisses on the grave.
Wow. Just wait. Did the grave say Kai's name or one of his family members? Because
No, oh, sorry. It was Kai's. No, it was one of Kai's family members.
I
My
wouldn't
apologies.
ask the clarification
Yeah.
if it wasn't for what you told me in pre-call,
Yep.
matching
Yep.
closer to
You're
what
right. You're right.
happens here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. And it was. Sorry, I forgot that we had said that. Yes, it was actually supposed to be Kai's mom.
Wow, that is brutal. And the crowd fucking loves it. A 4 3/4 star segment. Producer Focus coming through with a nice half star here. Man, oh man, what a segment here.
Yeah,
Kai has
and
got to
and
be
and
furious.
Kai's watching this, right? Kai's watching this, and now that we're correcting the story because I had forgotten that part. You're right though.
Mhm.
But Kai's watching this, and his mom's grave has been desecrated by Executioner Goro, who just put Carson Gold in a casket. I mean, Kai, like I said, sees himself as the number two guy for Conquest or Death. Obviously, they're feuding with For the People. Him seeing him, Carson go down doesn't really mean anything to him on that front. But the idea that Executioner is so willing to bring this imagery up and do this, it is not just bold. It is something that Kai will never forgive. And now, oh, it's on.
Yeah, it's absolutely on. And that, I mean, again, the crowd is loving it. I'm loving it. Just, I mean, nightmarish for Kai, and the Brute is going to want his revenge in the very near future. I hope he gets it at the next pay per view. I will be fascinated to see what you have in mind for the two of them at No Escape. But we've got one more match tonight. And if you could screw it up so I have a chance here, I would appreciate it. But I get the
Mhm.
sense it's not going to, because I'm seeing one of your classic special referee matches for the men's cruiserweight title. So what brings Sasaki and Vince to the ring tonight?
Yeah, so listen, Izaki and Vince have been going at it. Vince is 0-9, but Vince is one of the most talented members of Burn It All Down. And
Mhm.
he has been saying, right after the last loss, he said, I promise you, Azaki, I will rip that belt off your waist.
Mhm.
It might take me a dozen matches to beat you,
Mhm.
but I have nothing else I care about. I have nothing else I am focused on. Executioner Goro told me he wants this belt. And the only way that we're getting this belt is by me ripping it off you. I'm not letting Sebastian come do it. I'm not going to tell General Hayashima Wijaya to come do it. I'm not going to let Black Bull be the one to come out here and do it. And as much as I love and respect my leader, Executioner Goro, this is not his belt to take. This is my belt to take. And I will be the one at the end of the day that does this. Have no fear. All right. Have no fear other than me. And Azaki is standing there saying, "Listen, Vince, you're a great wrestler, man. Okay, but burn it all down. You guys aren't winning this feud. You guys aren't even really on our radar right now. Everything we're doing with Conquest or Death is coming to a boiling point, and if we don't win this feud with them after taking these two belts, everything is lost. So honestly, Vince, go kick rocks, man. You want to come out here and wrestle me? You want to keep threatening to take my belt? Do it. Stop yapping about it. Stop trying to show up and be all tough with Krieger behind you. Come wrestle me. Because if I can remember correctly, our last matches have not gone your way.
Mm.
And you know what? It's not going to go your way tonight either.
You know, Azaki knows what a long loss streak looks like. He knows what the hunger looks like to get a belt like this. But the next Liger has refused to let it go for 4 months now. And as much as I would like to see Vince get a win here, because I like what Burn It Down has been up to, and I like Vince, and I would like to see him not lose 10 straight matches, I just can't see you giving the title over on a weekly. I think it's Sasaki.
Listen, Coda Super is there, right? And Coda's there to make sure it's a fair and balanced match. With Burn It All Down, you can never trust that someone like Krieger or Executioner Goro or somebody's going to come upset the balance. And Coda honestly has a fondness for Izaki. You know, Brigantia are doing their own thing, but Coda is genuinely someone who looks up to somebody like Izaki and says, "Hey, we might not be in the same faction. You know, I don't even think that you're necessarily that much better than where I could be soon, but I love what you're doing for your faction, and I see that the same way. I definitely don't want Burn It All Down to win tonight. And all of these things come together. Azaki's just too good right now. Vince is getting better though. These matches are getting closer. They're getting hot. But Azaki's just too good.
Yeah. He's carried that men's cruiserweight championship to gold prestige from the silver it once was. It's a 4.5 star match, which maybe not the match you wanted to see doubled, but it still leads to a 4.75 star card, which is the highest that we have had so far during the set of weeklies. That's going to bring your point total to 14. And I got to tell you, if I'm one of our competitors here, it's got to be frustrating. Two great 4.5 star cards, one from a pure package perspective carrying, one a lot of narrative beats paying off in a big way. But right now, Glory of Legends is doing some special stuff, and I can hate and make my jokes about wanting you to screw up, but I got to tell you that's a well-deserved 4.75, my friend.
Thank you, Big Gamer. I appreciate it. We're doing what we can out here, and we're telling stories that we think the fans like. And honestly, these wrestlers, they're putting in the work, and they fucking hate each other. So it's coming through in a big way with these faction wars that did rekindle 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
They absolutely are, and you have set the bar quite high, but it's not impossible to reach those heights. I have gotten 5 star weeklies before. It has been done. Both of us have accomplished that in the past. I
Hmm.
don't think what I have built, to be quite frank with you, gets there just because I've made some choices that are very story focused. But I'm going to give it my best shot.
Hey,
because
listen, we'll see because I've seen you undercut a card before and it still pop off. So
uh,
I am not listen. By no means am I feeling comfortable with my lead right now.
and, and yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm proud of the card I put together because Magically Enhanced Wrestling, we are on the path to Crowd of Madness next week. We made some investments in talents like Ruby Wolform that has put us a little bit behind on the financial spreadsheet, so to speak. But with that, we have opened up some narrative opportunities. We have been going all in on faction feuds, and we have two faction feuds that will be started officially tonight. One of which you're very familiar with because we basically set it up last week. The faction just hadn't been formally founded yet, and one of which is a new faction feud that I am very excited to bring up to you tonight. So let's get on into it. And we start with a new gimmick package for Ruby Wolfhorn, and that's not really what I wanted. I'm going to be honest with you. Um, but she is not known for her charisma, so I guess I shouldn't be shocked. It's still better than what she had, so I guess that's fine. Um, from a narrative perspective, Ruby Wolfram, like, look, I just got here. All of you fuckers are crazy, right? There has been so much chaos from these faction fights that are currently dominating the promotion. This whole geopolitical thing that you've got going on, like, I respect the big picture, but I'm not a part of that, right? I'm not an ambassador to a nation state. I'm not going to deal with the pressure of geopolitics or whatever religious stuff independence is up to. I'm here to do a job. I'm a hard-working, good old-fashioned wrestler, and I'm here to work and be the best that I can be. And I'm not going to join in on this system. I'm not going to be the next cog in the faction machine until I find my place the good old-fashioned way. I'm going my own path. And if that pisses some people off, that's okay with me because I'm going to prove myself in the ring. Which is good because she's not proving it on the mic, as we've just learned here. But we move on to a match between Skull Tabaka and Kagetsi. Now, this feud was something we saw start out when the Scourge of the Underdark were trying to put together the tag team that would eventually become Light and Shadow. Kagetsi got her match against Skull Tabaka, ultimately ended up getting the win and securing her spot. And Skull Tabaka, she's on a 9-match loss streak right now, but is beloved by the fans because of her sheer tenacity, right? She and Tijuana left the Scourge of the Underdark. They did not wait to be kicked out. They found some brethren in the Hellfire Club, another faction that was built to rebel against that which they were a part of before, right? And with that camaraderie, they have found a new home, and they actually won a 2v2 against Ariana Black. And sure, Kaio Jade isn't the most impressive wrestler out there, but it's still a win in a match against Ariana Black at a pay-per-view. A huge feather in the hat for one Skull Tabaka. But we also know that Kagetsi has powered up, right? She has turned to the occult, and since doing so, she got her first singles win. She's now become the tag champion alongside Emu Amikio. Light and Shadow has looked great. And she has proven herself as a tag threat and has shown the spark that she could be a great singles competitor as well, despite her initial 0-10 start, I should say. So the question becomes, does Skull Tabaka have what it takes to take down Kagetsi, something she could not do back when she was part of the Scourge of the Underdark? Or is Kagetsi's newfound occult power just too much for her to take on?
It's gonna be Skull Tabaka winning this match. Kagetzi's doing great stuff, obviously, but predominantly with the tag. Skull and her have both been refocusing, and they're both coming out with more solos wins. But I think Skull's focus is exclusively on this right now. And because of that, I think that's why she takes the win.
You are right that she's getting the win, but and there's a part of me that doesn't want to do it because I don't want to take a match penalty given what you did. But I'm going to be honest with the story that I wrote. And the fact of the matter is that with Kagetsu's occult powers, she can't lose this straight up, especially not after just becoming a tag champion, which is why it's very helpful that Skull Tabaka isn't alone. Tijuana King comes in, provides a distraction, gives Skull just enough time to beat Kagetsu. It does force that feud to go hot. I wish the Street Fight effect wasn't negative because I think it would have been at least a 4-star match,
Hmm.
even with the distraction penalty. But at the end of
But
the day, it's a holy shit
holy shit
moment.
moment. I love it.
Yeah. Look, I accept that this might cost me my chance to beat you because both of these would basically need to be dropped and everything would need to go perfectly from this point forward. But the story that I have built, Kagetsu needs to hold strong. And there's no shame in a loss to Skull if she's getting distracted by another competitor. It reassures the Hellfire Club are strong. I was really hoping for Hellfire Club versus Scourge to go hot, but I'll take Skull and Kagetsu going hot. And Skull breaks the 9-loss streak. So, from a narrative perspective, I think everything worked out. But man, oh man, it would have been nice if the game was a little kinder.
For
And
sure.
either
And
of these segments, really.
yeah, no, 100%. I will say though, Walter would be proud of you
Yeah, well, that
for your commitment to the narrative.
I look, man, I'm doing my part, even if it means that you're gonna have a 2-point lead in this competition, which is gonna make me, which is gonna be a real sad. But we'll look, man, it's not over yet. Anything's possible,
It's not over yet. Anything
and
is possible.
we're gonna,
Listen, I'm not, counting
yeah,
chickens or eggs.
yeah. No, you're not a pre-hatched chickens kind of guy, that's for sure.
Yep, exactly,
But here's the
exactly.
thing: we're gonna ignore the text of this particular segment because it's a car destruction segment, and there are a lot of ways to destroy a car. I don't know what the game's gonna say, but here's what the fans are actually saying. Lorena Lucier is in the parking lot, and she goes to her car, and she sees that there's a note that has been left on it, and the note says, "You couldn't let me go, so now I'm taking you out." Before an ominous beeping noise begins. And Lorena, realizing what has happened, dives out of the way as this car fucking explodes.
Oh my god, I
And
love it.
Lorena yells, "That crazy cuh," before the audio cuts out because it's a family show. So,
Yes, a family show. Yes.
absolutely. Um, but yeah, Tilly has absolutely blown up Lorena's car. It is gonna push it's a hot segment. Doesn't push any feuds hot, unfortunately, but hopefully that's just because some of these feuds were already hot. I do think it's fascinating. They do allow multiple individual feuds at the same time now. It used to be that something like Treachery would just give True Leader a boost, but it's actually giving me both. So that's interesting. That must
Yeah.
have been a
Hey, you
change with the
take it.
latest update. But yeah, how do you like my car explosion?
I love it. I love it. I love that it's not car destruction, it's car explosion. All right.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we can all agree that an explosion destroys the car. Am I right?
yeah, I mean true. True. Factual statement. No, I love it though. It's fantastic. Can't wait to steal it.
Perfect. I do like that both of my members got a 17-point popularity boost. That's a nice thing to see, even if the game only shows one of them here. But we move on to a match that I'm sure is going to break your heart a little bit because it is
Will you stop doing this?
Miracle Oda versus Lucas Meltzer. And look, here's the thing, man. Lucas Meltzer was caught off guard last week from a vicious attack in which Miracle Oda turned heel. Because at the end of the day, being a face was not accomplishing what Miracle Oda or El Rey Loco needed to succeed in this company. But Lucas, he does things the right way, right? So he came to me, he's like, look, I deserve a match in the ring to settle this like respectable men should, right? I understand that he's upset, but at the end of the day, we used to be in a faction together. And I hope that decency can carry the day here. So Lucas doing what he needs to do as second in command for the Western Watch. But Miracle Oda is not here as a member of the Western Watch. He is a member of Righteous Retribution, a faction that he and El Rey Loco formed last week specifically to end the Western Watch. Because if El Rey Loco can't lead it, then no one can have it. And so they're settling in a street fight tonight, kicking off this faction feud. Who do you think I gave the win to?
I am mad that you're giving it to Miracle Oda.
Look, man, he's 0-9. He needs to win for it to matter. Otherwise,
why against Lucas though?
Because Lucas is the only person left in Western Watch who's a singles performer who isn't Prince Pretty Pink, and that would be sillier. But look, if it makes you feel better, it's not a fair fight. El Rey Loco's laugh and theme song cuts in and out at weird places. Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god.
So I'm gonna just say the story before I acknowledge what the screen is just saying. But the idea here was that like El Rey Loco's laugh and theme song was like cutting in and out at weird places throughout the entire match, including a cut to like an empty production room so no one knows where it's coming from. He never actually interferes, but it's enough to throw Lucas off. And then when the match is done, El Rey Loco emerges from under the ring to body slam the defeated Meltzer when he least expects it after the match. But I think Miracle Oda suffered a severe injury, so the doctor had to come out. So El Rey Loco probably stayed under the ring.
Yeah. Full of action, 4.75, man. Congrats on that part.
Dude, I only have 2 people in Righteous Retribution. I've lost 50% of the faction. And you know I can't postpone it for him to recover from a severe injury. 1, because that's something like 6 to 12 months. And 2, because Western Watch are unusable. Because their reputation won.
Oh, man.
Okay, man.
Yep.
1% chance, by the way. 1% chance.
Yep. Have you considered getting good?
I just make me earn it, okay? Like, just make me feel bad about pushing a wrestler too far.
I love that we've watched like Walter and Eduardo recently get away with like 50% plus fatigue wrestlers going at it, and you're over here with your 1% chance on somebody that probably had like what 11% fatigue. Yeah, that's
29 age. He's young. The age multiplier was a 0.7. Okay. Well, it led to a holy shit moment, so, you know, spat at his face.
Congrats on the holy shit moment, dude. I'm really, really happy for you.
I almost don't want to continue with the rest of the card. This is just... Oh, my God.
This is rough, though. I'm sorry.
Why? It's just why?
That's not good, man. I don't know.
Well, we move on. We move on. Congrats, Miracle Oda. We'll see you in 9 months.
Oh, no.
Well, we've got a handicap beatdown segment. Because as you know, the Southern Sentries have been branded as a pack of wild dogs. I'm going to get my... You know what? No, I gotta breathe in. We get the energy back up. The show must go on.
The show
Southern
must
Sentries
go on.
Have been presented as a pack of wild dogs in magically enhanced wrestling, right? So at this point, they're like, look, everyone keeps treating us like we're monsters. Everyone keeps treating us like we are the lowest of the low. So you know what? We're going to fucking act like it. So Fuerza de Dragon comes to the ring to make an appeal to their better nature, right? Like, look, I know that we've had this thing, the Eastern Elite. You've been coming after us, but we doesn't have to be this way. We can find a better end to all of this. And that just provokes the Southern Sentries further. Adrian Lorenzo, Mikey Dolan, Joey Smoking Gun Ace, and especially Gavin Smith, who we know cares more about hurting people than he does about anything else, beat the crap out of him. And as this is happening, we hear Arsenico's music begin to play. He does not come out to the arena, but his voice echoes through the loudspeakers as he claims that the Southern Sentries have gone too far. And while he and the Eastern elite don't always see eye to eye, he believes that the Southern sentries must be put down before their toxicity can spread to the rest of the world. So we start the put down rabid dogs feud between independents and the Southern sentries. Any thoughts before I go into this individual match?
No, man. I mean, you got the feuds.
I do have some feuds, yes. Making them hurt not advancing at all is kind of a bummer, I
I know
thought,
that
for
kind of
sure.
sucks. No, it does. Like the fact that I mean, I would think that in a handicap beatdown, you'd get some benefit there. A little unfortunate you didn't.
You would think. But I mean, I did get two greatest wrestler feuds start at 69, so it could be
Yeah,
worse. I think that's the base value, though. So, like, whatever. It's a 4.25
yeah,
star segment, and at this point, I'm taking what I can get, man. There's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's not been a good time. We're halfway through it. I feel very defeated. But you know who isn't defeated? Independence.
Vinny, Vinny Stacks.
Vinny Stacks is going up against Mikey Dolan here. And like Vinny Stacks is here to prove that he's more than just the money behind Independence, right? He joined Independence because Johnny Scott went out of his way to protect him, right? To give him a victory in a match against one Gavin Smith earlier. Or not Gavin Smith, Grim Oxley, excuse me. Back when Grim Oxley was not injured because again, I can't have nice things in this world.
That's
Um,
so funny. I'm sorry,
but
man. I'm
look,
sorry.
Vinny, he's got a little bit. You could argue a naive opinion of Independence, but Mikey's trying to explain to him like, look, you are being used here. You're the richest kid on the block. They targeted you because you have something to offer, and I got to tell you, this story does not end well for you. But Vinny's like, look, you don't know me. You're an 18-year-old 2-8 wrestler for a group of assholes that just came out and beat Fuerza de Dragon in an entirely unfair fight. So I don't need you to tell me what it means to be a good faction mate and what it means to care about people because I don't think you're capable of it. And look, Mikey is known best for his stuff with Risk It All, right? The trio that has been fighting against the Chosen Ones and not doing very well in that context. But Mikey needs to prove himself, He's 2-8 in solo competition. Risk It All doesn't necessarily get to compete very often in the title picture because of how good the feud between I want to say it's larger than life and liquid steel has gone. But Vinny, he's 1-11. He wants to prove that he's more than just a rich kid on the block. Does he pull it off here, Xander, or does Mikey Dolan strike
No,
one
I
for the
listen.
Southern
When
Sentries?
I said Vinny, I wasn't just mentioning one guy in the match. That's who wins. Vinny Stacks is getting the dub tonight.
He is getting the dub tonight, and it's a 5-star match. Great
There you
form.
go.
Put Down Rabid Dog starts at 194 overness, which is fantastic. I was a little bit worried about it because apparently the Southern Sentries are not hot as a faction, despite all the work I've put into them. I guess maybe they've lost a couple more matches than it would take. I don't know how you tell if a faction's hot. There isn't a clear indicator on that until you are in the feud part of the game, and it tells you what options are and are not available. But hey, the custom feud clearly working out. These two factions are going to keep going back and forth, and it's a good start to what will be a huge part of what we're going to see at Crown of Madness.
Hell yeah.
But we move on to a solo feud promo with Derek Nash, and Derek gets into the ring, and he starts by calling El Muerte Blanco a coward. For everything that truly matters in this company, what it means to be a leader in a promotion like this, you're a coward, El Muerte Blanco. You took time to give yourself a crowning ceremony for a belt that you stole from La Bestia del Infierno, someone who is meant to be in your faction, which is just the peak of hubris. And you failed to deal with River Dannenberg after he betrayed the Northern Nightmare. And just like you failed to deal with River, you have left all of the fighting in this civil war to your underlings. You have not fought a single member of the Hellfire Club. And you know why? Because you're a coward. And why would anyone in the Northern Nightmare want to follow a man who hides in the shadows like that? Someone who is never willing to do the dirty work and complains every time he's asked to step up. Someone who was too cowardly to pursue your own belt and challenge someone like Fishbone, despite theoretically being the highest ranked person in this company. I earned every inch I've taken, El Muerte Blanco. And when I fight you at Crown of Madness, I am ready to rip off the belt from this shadow of a man that you've become. Some strong words for his former
Yeah.
faction leader.
Yep. Derek, man.
Derek has really won me over. I had him against Fishbone as just kind of a filler feud, and he ended up being one of my more talented guys. So shout out to him. And we'll see if he fulfills those words against El Muerte Blanco at Crown of
Can't wait.
Madness.
Can't wait to see it.
But we go on now to a match, a shut the fuck up submission match between Johnny Scott and Adrian Lorenzo. And Adrian Lorenzo, he's been going up against independents for a while, right? He is tired of being preached at by Johnny Scott and demands a real match against Arsenico if independents insists on pushing this faction feud further. Because look, like this has been a headhunting feud that Arsenico has gone at Adrian Lorenzo for. The divine intervention match that gave Arsenico his Oracle's Elixir contract, which he has yet to cash in, came from a match against Arsenico, in which he said that winning that divine retribution match was proof that he was chosen and Adrian should join him. And Johnny has kept pushing him, right? And now he's like, look, Arsenico's working on big plans, man, so he can't fight you right now. But I, with my incredible singing voice and my charismatic personality, I'm sure I can keep you busy tonight with one heck of a match. So that's the match in front of us. Do you think Adrian Lorenzo successfully shuts Johnny up, or is Independence just too good to be taken down here tonight?
This is so tough. You have an 0-10 and an 0-8 wrestler, both of whom are very talented, both of whom have a good narrative reason to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think you hit simulate, and we leave it to the Joe Gods.
This is an Adrian Lorenzo victory.
Okay.
Because look,
Oh, and it's a 5-star match?
it's a 5-star match because I got a full star of bonuses from a story perspective, so that's nice to see. I think the game's trying to make it up to me for earlier. But look, Adrian Lorenzo, if he's being scouted and headhunted by independents, he needs to get a victory under his belt. And Johnny, it's okay for him to lose because he's not the highest work rate. He's known for his charisma, and he is Arsenico's manager, right? So at the end of the day, he can lose, and it's fine. He's not there to win. He's there to push narratives. So Adrian is able to shut him up tonight. And it does lead to a
And
holy
it's a
shit
holy shit
moment.
moment. Yeah. No, listen, I love it. That's a great match between those two. I'm happy to see two guys given an opportunity to correct the record, if you will. And
Yes.
Adrian coming out with it is big.
Yeah, and it means that Southern Centuries and Independents are 1-1. You wouldn't want it to be all Independents all night long.
Yeah.
And I will take Adrian putting Johnny through the announce table with an elbow drop, causing him to bleed. It's a big win for him, and he just points up towards the top of the ramp and says, Arsenico, I'm coming for you. And we'll see if he gets his match against Arsenico at Crown of Madness, or if Johnny is right that he has bigger plans that he's working on and is just does not have the time for someone like Adrian. But for now, we move on to a smack talk segment between Alpha Jackson and Victor Magnus. And Alpha starts by calling out Victor for his silence since losing the submission match in the first weekly of the month, saying that a true alpha, the kind of person that the Southern Sentries need, would never let someone walk all over him like that. But Victor retorts, look, I never submit to you. I literally chose to risk my own life and passed out entirely before saying that I quit. or tapping out to your submission move, because I will never submit to you. I will never tell you that you're better suited for the job of faction leader than I am, because you are just muscle and you don't have what it takes to lead. And Alpha gets a big old grin on his face because he's like, Victor, what you don't understand is that I'm already leading. Who do you think organized the hit on Fuerza de Dragon earlier tonight? They already see me as a leader. You're just too blind and stubborn to realize it.
Oh, snap.
And Victor is shell-shocked because he's right. Victor didn't order the hit tonight. Alpha did. And they are following in his footsteps. And that's a problem for Victor Magnus, because without his faction, he's a 4-8 wrestler who's never had a belt. That's a tough pill for him to swallow tonight.
Yeah.
Any thoughts here before we move on?
No, it's a 5-star. Listen, 5-star. Your card's popping, man. I told you. You know, I this is why we don't count.
I need one more really good segment because I got a couple 4.25s, and these two need to be dropped. I guess technically they're going to be dropped no matter what, because that'll never drop the main event. But still, I've got one more match, one more opportunity, and it's another match between Independents and Southern Sentries, this time between Monty Hendricks and Gavin Smith. And look, if you've been following this competition from the beginning, you will recognize that Monty and Gavin have been feuding since Broken Oaths, the very first event that we ever did in this competition, where Monty beat Gavin to become the first king of the Thunderdome. And look, they both took some losses after. Ashton Nieves challenged both of them repeatedly for the belt, but when Gavin got distracted by other things, when Gavin got distracted in wanting to hurt some other people, using his extreme nature to be this enforcer for the Southern Sentries, Monty kept fighting against Ashton. He refined his skills, and he beat both Gavin and Bryson in a street fight match back in June. So at the end of the day, you have these two competitors, right? Monty, who's taken some L's, but he took some L's against one of the best wrestlers in this competition, and has constantly pushed himself to get a little bit better and prove that he is the gift from God that he says he is. Versus Gavin Smith, who, sure, he's 1-10 right now, but he has an average match rating of 5.2 stars. Every match he has is a banger, because this guy knows how to put on one heck of a fight. And he has demanded, if he's going to have to fight Monty tonight, he wants it to be a last man standing match. He wants to keep going until one of them can't go anymore. And that's the match in front of us. So, who do you think I gave the win to here?
I think it's got to be Monty. I think Monty is going to maintain his face of the company status. You know, I could see you maybe giving Gavin the win from the gameplay perspective, that Monty gets a win at the pay-per-view and retains that, you know, because I think it takes like to the end of the month for you to drop it. And, you know, Gavin being the one that called for this, but I think Gavin wins either way here just by being in this match. And Monty's got bigger stuff to move on to. He needs a win.
He does need a win. And here's the thing. Gavin has an opportunity to win this match on multiple occasions. But every time Monty's down for a 3 count, a 4 count, even a 5 count, he gets Monty back up. Because the thing about Gavin is he doesn't really care about winning. You'll remember when he fought Arsenico, and when he's fought Techno Boy in the past, he gets hype from matches getting bloody, from matches going long, and from people getting hurt. That's what he's here for. So he will get Monty back to his feet just to try to knock him down again. And unfortunately, he does that one too many times. He gives Monty one too many openings. And at the end of the day, when Monty wins, he almost looks disappointed, right? Like, this
Yeah.
is a wrestler he once respected, and now Gavin is just this animal of a man, someone who wants to hurt rather than win. And this is exactly what Arseneca was saying, right? This is why he called for the feud. The Southern Sentries have lost something. And, Monty doesn't have the time to, you know, try to bring Gavin back from the brink. All he can do is win a match like this, shake his head, and hope that one day Gavin realizes there is more to wrestling than hurting somebody. But it's not going to be tonight. It's not going to be a holy shit moment. Is it enough?
I think it's a 4.75. Yeah, we tie.
It is enough. We both tie, which keeps the points. I'm still 1 point behind you, of course, because I was 1 point behind at the start of this set of weeklies. But that puts you to 7 points, me to 6 points, as we each get half a star. We each boost ourselves forward just a little bit against Eduardo and Walter. And I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Miracle Oda getting injured is way more valuable to me than the half point is. That's a real problem, and I don't know what to do about that narratively. That is a genuine, legitimate concern, and I gotta put my thinking cap on to figure out a way around that. But I am damn proud of the back half of this card. Everything from card destruction on went pretty much the way that I wanted. So shout out to all my wrestlers who put in a lot of great work tonight and turned around what could have been a very bleak moment for magically enhanced wrestling. Um, and it's quite the card. You end up getting a little bit more hype this time around. Eduardo takes the biggest hit from a hype perspective. It's obviously tough because, for both of these competitors, right? Eduardo and Walter had their best cards of the section, and it just wasn't quite enough tonight because of everything you and I were up to. But it's one heck of a competition, some really fun cards here, and plenty to look forward to as we get ready for this next gold pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, man. GG's. Sorry about Miracle Oda.
Thanks, buddy. Any final thoughts on the overall state of our league before we get into plugs and wrap out here tonight?
Nah, listen, you and I doing what we're doing, big stuff. I mean, you can even see fan totals are neck and neck at this point. I mean, it's close. It's really close. And honestly, I Walter is doing really well too. He's right behind us, which is actually crazy, considering how he has decided to play the game. On it's I know him and Eduardo are both consistently losing fans because no PCs, no CPUs rather in the game, and just us. But the stuff they're doing has been phenomenal. I loved Walter's card tonight, and at the end of the day, it feels good as a competitor. Still getting that edge over everybody because everyone's been putting out bangers. Yourself, Eduardo, and Walter, and so maintaining my lead, albeit very slightly, and not increasing that over you specifically this week. It's exciting. I mean, I'll be honest. Coming into the week, I was pretty clear that I was not trying to win, but the narrative stuff kept paying off, and we put the stuff forward, and even tonight, you look at my card. Goal wasn't to go out and create a win, and I almost got it solo anyway, but you put out those 5-star absolute slammers at the end of your card, really pushed it. But again, I think everybody's got hot stuff. We're going into the gold pay-per-view. This is feeling like a great time to play Journey of Wrestling.
It is a very fun time to play Journey of Wrestling. I'm very excited for what we have in store. I will be back with Walter for the tag tournament that will set up the storylines at the Harold G. Vincent Memorial Cup. But until then, Xander, where can the nice folks at home find you?
Hello, everybody. Nice folks at home. You all can find me on all socials at Tentacle Coach. I spend a lot of time on the Twitters and the really just the Twitters and the Twitches. But more importantly, please Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. Go follow Brooklyn College Esports. That's at CUNYBC Esports. Brooklyn College doing big stuff. We have playoffs starting this week for NECC. We unfortunately just went out in C-Lol in a very close, very heated best of two for League of Legends. But we got 4 teams coming at you with playoff action this week from Valorant, Smash, and League of Legends. So please, please, please go support them. The college students appreciate you.
Absolutely. Continue to show them some love. You've done some incredible work with that program, and it deserves a lot of love from our fans. You can, of course, find me at Chase Wassenaar on bsky.social. You can find the Rough Drafts podcast at roughdraftspodcast.bsky.social. And you should definitely check out, we just did an episode with my good friend Justin as a featured host, a featured guest with Walter and I for Dune Part 2 that came out today. It should be out by the time that you're watching this, because I'm going to be uploading both of these things simultaneously. So definitely go check that out and come back on Thursday at we will actually have to figure out 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific time, because I don't know with the time change if that changes anything for Eduardo. We'll figure that out. Time zones and international barriers are fun. But until then, goodbye, Internet.